Some ugly words have cast a shadow over the beautiful game in the last few days. Sky Sports presenter Andy Gray has been sacked for his part in the sexism row. But has that drawn a line under the debacle? Or does football still need to be dragged into the age of political correctness? From Central London, we're joined by author Lette. And with me here in the studio is former WAG. I hope you don't mind me calling you that, Lizzie Cundy. Thanks for joining us. Lizzie, while you're with us here, why don't we start with you? Sexist game.
Well, it's a man's sport. I'm not, you know, I wasn't shocked when I heard what they'd said, but I'm disappointed. And I think we've got to try and move on. I think it's wonderful that women are now involved in football. We have women that are, you know, match officials. It's fantastic. It should be celebrated. And unfortunately, what Andy Gray and Richard Keys said is totally wrong and unacceptable. It wasn't right that it was leaked. It was a private chat between them. It shouldn't have been leaked, but unfortunately it has, and it's not going to go away.
Lette, they're just reflecting the voice on the terraces, aren't they?
Well, I don't know if they are. I mean, I think they're out of step with the rest of the community because women are much more accepted at the football fields. Boyfriends want to take their girlfriends. I think these two men prove that dinosaurs still roam the earth. I mean, they sort of disprove the theory of evolution. They're evolving into apes. And football has a terrible reputation of misogyny amongst the players. You know, often when well-known players celebrate their victories by having group sex called roasting, they have parties that often end up in rape allegations. I mean, they're generally perceived by the public as going straight from puberty to adultery. Now, they've been trying to lift up their image through the Football Association, but presenters like Gray and Keys have done nothing to help the image of the game.
Do you think that's fair, Lizzie? I mean, they have revolutionised the coverage of football in the UK. If you think about it, before Sky Sports was around, we didn't even have the football score in the top left-hand corner.
Exactly, and I think we've all got to say that Andy Gray and Richard Keys do a fantastic job on Sky Sports. I mean, they've been doing it for 20 years. They wouldn't have lasted in that profession if they didn't do it. So, you know, the best, they are the best. But what we've now got to look at is Sky Sports is, you know, it is high-tech, it is on the cutting edge, it is 3D, HD, it looks at everything in the game, you know, and it doesn't miss a trick. And these guys do a fantastic job at it. But if we now know their views on women in football, it changes things. Now, can we have these, you know, men presenting when they have these prehistoric, you know, caveman-like ideas about women in football? And I've got to say, I feel so sorry for the girl that was the linesman. She did the most amazing job. I mean, I was watching the game and she made the best decision of the weekend. That Wolves game had the players running up to her, very intimidating, and she got it spot on. Now, I feel sorry for her today. It isn't for Richard Keys
and she will make
Gray.
Mistakes, but hey, we're human. We all make mistakes.
We all make mistakes.
What do you think, Cathy? You're nodding.
I think the only way that Sky can redeem themselves now is to appoint two female football presenters, you know, Claire Spalding or Gabby Logan or somebody like that. And all I can say about the men is obviously their hormones must have got the better of them. I think they had PMT, pre-match tension, for the way they behaved and the way they spoke. It was just so unexpected and unpredictable that they could say something so immature and something so politically incorrect, whether they were being, you know, overheard or not.
Let me just say, for Sky Sports women presenters, we've got lots of pretty good ones to start with, haven't we? Lots to choose from there if we choose to. Do you think that the women involved need to rise above what these two men have said?
Well, yeah, they will rise above it, and hopefully we'll be seeing more of Shane Massey, the linesman. She did an amazing job, and you know, and Karen Brady, I know, and obviously so, very, very upset. She wouldn't accept Richard Keys' call. He rang to apologise. She wouldn't pick up the call. I know that. I know Karen, and she's worked very hard in a man's world, in a man's environment, to do so well. I know what she's had to battle against, and she'll rise above this. And I think there are lessons to be learned. I think this may make people more open-minded to women in football. I think they'll be respected more and accepted, hopefully, and change people's views a little bit, and hopefully it'll be the last of these sort of comments that we'll hear, you know. And I think, but you know, it's a very hard job for Sky Sports to have the two main figureheads of Sky Sports having these kind of views. And you know, I feel for Sky Sports today, and it's their decision. Now what happens with Richard Keys?
Cathy?
Well, I think unfortunately I think that Keys may have to go too, because it would be hypocritical if someone, Ron Atkinson got the sack some years ago for a racist remark he made. So, racism and homophobia are not allowed, but if we're going to condone sexism by keeping one of these presenters on, it's just not a good message you want to put out there. So I'm afraid, yeah, he may have to bite the resignation dust as well.
Well, Keys is on a national radio station now apologising. He said sorry so many times. But the question is...
Shouldn't that be enough? I mean, the argument might be that they become hounded by the press, by the media, which is what happened in Saxgate when we saw what happened with Jonathan Ross and also Russell Brand, to the extent where it builds up such a head of steam that the organisation feels that it has no choice but to get rid of them. Is that fair?
Well, but then what can you do if it's going to be on the front page of every newspaper? The poor, the girl that was the linesman didn't want to be put on the front page. She was judged before she even, had a chance to prove herself. And I just think it's going to be very, very difficult for Richard Keys to go on now. What happens if he's got to interview Karen Brady? What happens?
I don't think that's going to happen, is it?
Yeah, I know, but he's put himself really in a difficult position, and it's a modern sport now. This is high tech. Can we have Richard Keys fronting, being the figurehead of Sky Sports now, with us all knowing what he said?
Kathy, doesn't time heal?
Oh, yes. I mean, we don't want to mount our high horses and gallop off into the sunset. But, we feminists always have thought of footballers, the reason you don't go out with them is that they make a pass, play footsie and drop you as soon as they've scored. I mean, that is the image of footballers and now the image of football presenters. So, I think we have to move with the times, and we do have to let Keys go as well. And we do need to put some of your wonderful Sky female sports presenters at the helm.
All for more of that woman power. Final thought from you, Lizzie.
Well, no, and I've just got to say, I hope there are lessons learnt from this. I hope we do see more women being match officials. As we said, she did the most amazing job at the weekend, one of the best sporting decisions, and thank heaven she didn't get that, offside rule wrong. And she did so well, and I hope we see more women in sport, and I hope people actually have a look at themselves and change their views about women being involved in football.
Slowly, 21st century. Thanks very much indeed, ladies. Thank you both.
Thanks,
Let us know
Kate.
what you
Bye.
think. Bye. Thank you.